everyone, my name is Roya, and today I will be telling you all about the 5 books that I read in the first half of May. So I actually had a really good reading month this month. Actually, everything but one book was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved the crap out of everything I read this month except for one. So I'm gonna start with the one book that got a less than stellar review from me, and it still wasn't that bad. I just felt that I didn't love it the way that a lot of people did. It was still a good, 3-star book, but anyway, that is Criers War by Nina Varela. So this book did have a really good writing style. That is what I really liked about it, but unfortunately a lot of other things about it really made it fall flat for me. So this is about a girl who is an android person and a human girl falling in love in a time where the android people have risen up and taken over. So basically this android princess and this human servant fall in love, and I do love that it's a story about 2 chicks falling in love. It's awesome. You know how I am about sapphic books. I want all of the women falling in love with women, definitely. But unfortunately, what I found lacking about this book was just a lot of plot points. So for instance, there was not one, but 2 pretty big reveals that were literally just there for shock value. They didn't actually have any bearing on the plot whatsoever. Like, those things being revealed actually didn't help in any way at all. And then also we kind of had too much of a lack of explanation of what exactly went on, and basically a lot of things about it didn't make a whole lot of sense. The android people were like made by this peasant lady originally, and we get to kind of see how that went down, and a lot of it just makes no sense because this is a fantasy book. It's not a sci-fi at all. There are no scientific or elements at all to it. So how did these android people get made? It's kind of not really thought out that well. And the fact that the one who made the first one was like this random peasant, like, how did that even happen? Why was she smart enough to even do that with, like, when she couldn't even like read, or she had no access to any kind of materials or anything of that sort? So it seems just super weird, and it made like no sense at all. And also, all the secrets being kept from the reader to kind of keep you reading are all things that didn't matter to the plot at all. They were all things that I didn't care about, and that really were things that made no difference to the plot. Kind of like all the big reveals that we got. Like, who cares if this is this? Like, it doesn't actually change the plot at all. Like, this does not help the main characters find out any relevant information in any way. So the whole thing just could have been a lot better thought out, but overall not a bad book. I definitely am glad that a lot of people like this more than I did, but unfortunately it was just not for me. Now on to the miraculously 4 5-star reads, which is crazy. I'm really picky about what books I give 5 stars to. It's certainly not every day that even one book in like one wrap-up gets a 5-star review from me. So the fact that I loved all of these books is just crazy. So firstly, we have Catify to Satisfy by Jackson Galaxy and Kate Benjamin. This is just a quick book about kind of different things you can do to catify your house. So they have some really interesting like things that people have actually done. They have some really cool like DIY things that you can do, all kinds of stuff. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to read. As I was reading it, I was showing my husband, like, look at this cool catio that this person made. Oh my gosh, it's like this epic freaking catio. So I definitely really recommend it, and it is so super cool. Next, I read The House on the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This is an adult fantasy about a caseworker who inspects different orphanages that house magically gifted children, and he ends up being sent on this top secret assignment to this special orphanage that has even more extraordinary children than what he's used to dealing with. And so he's this lonely, like, sad 40-year-old guy who just all he's ever done is like worked and taken care of his cat, and he's been working there for like 13 years. I absolutely loved the crap out of this book. I think it might actually be my favorite read of the year. And the main characters are gay. It's really great, and all the characters in the whole book are very interesting, and What I loved about it was the writing style, especially just the fact that it doesn't info dump anything about the world to you at all, or even about the nature of what it is he's doing or anything like that at all. It literally just kind of gives it to you as you read, so you have to keep reading to kind of figure out what it is that's going on. And I just thought that the way that that was written was so brilliant, and I absolutely loved the crap out of it. And also, the love subplot was very, very on point. We have two men falling in love, and they're both such great characters, and they're so good for each other that, like, I was just so rooting for them to get together, like, the whole time. Next, I read both Deadly Courtship and Secret Courtship by J.C. Jarvis. So, Deadly Courtship follows the story of a guard who falls in love with a, like, minstrel dude, and basically just has this whole love subplot where it's a second chance romance, kind of, except they didn't really... Normally, I'm not into second chance romances at all, because if two people broke up, they should probably stay broken up, and I just don't buy it. But the fact is that these two people getting together actually didn't have a committed relationship. They just, like, hooked up and stuff, and they've been into each other ever since, but they, like, won't admit it, and all kinds of stuff. And all of J.C. Jarvis's books so far have done that really, really well. They do the whole, like, misunderstanding thing where people don't feel like they can talk to each other and kind of clarify things at all, so people think that each other isn't interested in each other, and that's done super well in all of her books. I'm such a sucker for that trope, and it's just done really well. And also, what I loved about this one in particular is that the main character is someone who never wants to have kids or anything, and I could relate to that so much more than, you know, all the romances out there where, like, the lady just, like, wants to have kids one day, and oh no, she hasn't found the person she wants to have kids with yet, blah blah blah. But, like, this one was about a girl who that's not on her mind at all. That's, like, that has nothing to do with, like, she doesn't even really want to find love, but she, like, doesn't. And I related to that so much, because she gets all the questions about, how do you know that you don't want kids, blah blah blah, the same shit that I get. So I loved that so much. And then JC was kind enough to send me the arc of Secret Courtship. So I read that, like, immediately. I actually read it in one day, and I read Deadly Courtship in, like, 2 days. But anyway, Secret Courtship follows a mystic and a dude who's, like, a builder, I guess. So basically in this setting, both of these characters are hands, which can entail different jobs. Like, hands can have all kinds of different jobs, but, like, basically their status is the difference there. And so both of the characters falling in love in this one are both hands, and so then they've been actually friends for a good long time because they were hands, like, together and whatnot, but they've always liked each other, but they don't feel like they can actually be together because they assume that each other wouldn't like each other for all kinds of reasons. And, like, the misunderstanding just gets worse and worse as you read, and you're like, how are these people gonna get together? Like, please get together. And also, this one has the most sex in it out of all three of her books so far. Like, these two characters are sleeping together for, like, the entire book, and they still have, like, no like, actual relationship, even though they both want a relationship, but they totally assume that each other would never. So it's just so brilliant. I absolutely loved the crap out of that book, and I flew through it. It was so good. And also, it has an adoption subplot in there as well. So I don't feel like that's found in a lot of romance books. I think a lot of people are, like, they just, you know, want to sleep together until they have a baby or whatever the heck goes on. So the fact that they actually adopt a child in this book is actually really, really great. And it's not something that you see that often. So anyway, this whole... So I love the whole series. Like, all three books have been 5 stars. So anyway, those are the 5 books that I read so far this month in May. I absolutely loved 4 of these books so much. It's kind of insane how much I loved them. But anyway, let me know if you've read any of these, have any thoughts. Let me know what you've read so far in May, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!